I've been thinking a lot this week about the groups of people that are desperately lonely because people never talk to them. Maybe it's because they have a disability, maybe it's just because they're a loner, but people don't interact with them. I've been thinking about a boy in my elementary school when I was in 5th grade. This kid was much bigger than the rest of us, and we'd heard that he'd been held back for one, maybe even 2 grades. Rumor was that he was being raised by his grandparents, which was actually kind of unusual at the time. Nobody ever talked to this kid. We didn't hardly know anything about him. He hated going out on recess. He always tried to find some reason to stay in and help the teacher or work on a project. The teacher would often say no, he had to go outside. And this kid, he always wore like this coat that covered up his arms completely, came down to his knees. And later in life, I would realize that this was classic for a kid who was ashamed and trying to cover himself up. But I remember being out on recess and looking across the playground from where I was playing and having a great time and seeing this kid. And he'd be standing up against this white wall all by himself, not playing. He was as close as he could be to the playground monitor, but there he was all alone. And I remember this sense of that I should say something to him, that I should try to engage, but I didn't know how. And once in a while, just once in a while, I would go up and I would just stand by him on that wall, but I didn't know what to say to him. And I wished that I had had the tools that someone would have taught me. How do you talk to somebody like that? We are the ones that need to be teaching our children how to do that. I don't ever want Berkeley to be the one that is standing there without a friend. There's a lot of desperately lonely kids who need attention. They need a friend at school. There's a lot of adults who need a friend, someone just to be kind to them. I don't think anybody was ever outwardly mean. Nobody bullied this kid that I knew of, but I sensed this deep pit of loneliness, and I've often wondered what happened to him. What happened to him after the 5th grade? Never heard it from him again. I don't know where he's at. We're the ones to be teaching our children, but most of us are terrible at doing it ourselves. So we need to teach ourselves first, and then we can successfully teach children how to reach out to others. So I'm going to spend the next few weeks just giving you some tips and tools on how you bridge that gap. How do you get beyond knowing that you should say something to somebody and actually walking up to them and speaking to them? There's just a whole host of reasons why we don't. We're afraid of what other people might think. We don't even know if the person will respond in a good way or if they're even able to respond in some circumstances. So I want to give you some of those tips and tools, and I will tell you that the number one thing is that you're going to have to get a little bit out of your comfort zone. But we can get you beyond that and get you comfortable talking to just about anybody. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, Laura Shares. You can also find me on Instagram at Laura_shares. Have a great week.